Hello and welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be doing a classic car auction roundup. It's the results of a classic car auction which took place over the weekend, Saturday the 2nd, Sunday the 3rd of November, and the auction took place at Anglia Car Auctions at Kings Lynn in Norfolk. And I must say a big thank you to Anglia Car Auctions for allowing me to bring this to you. And it's one of those places that I've wanted to go to for a long time, but as yet, unfortunately, haven't been able to make the sales. Hopefully one day I'll get there, because there's nothing like being at the sale itself and being able to enjoy the atmosphere. They seem to offer something for everybody, because as well as classic car auctions, they also do regular modern day car auctions as well. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take a look at the results of the auction, see some of the prices that have been achieved, and we'll possibly pick out maybe one or two vehicles as we go along, and we might discuss them in a little bit more detail. So without further ado, let's get into it and let's have a look and see what we can find. So what I'm also going to add before we make a start is that obviously I haven't seen these cars. I'm just basing my opinions on the photographs alone, which is no substitute for actually being at the sale itself. So we're going to get on and we're going to have a look and see what's what. A 1990 Citroen AX GT. Well, it's a long time since I've seen one of them. In fact, it's that long I'd even forgotten all about them. Quite a rare car. Let's have a look at that one. Now, the AX was brought out in August 1987. Went through to 1998, I believe. Obviously, they'll have had facelifts during that time. But I think the GT, this must be a fairly early GT, with it being 1990. And it's a 1.4 aluminium engine. And I think it's got a twin barrel carburettor. Later on, in 1991, it saw the introduction of fuel injection, and at that point it became the GTI, I understand. Let's have a look at the car itself anyway. Fog lights, sunroof. Wheels look nice. Yeah, I don't know whether they're diamond cut or what they are, but as I say, a very rare car now. I honestly can't remember the last time I ever saw one. Interior looks nice. 34,000 miles. So it's a 34-year-old car. So it's just covered about 1,000 miles a year. Dinky little rev counter. So it's looking nice condition. Obviously commensurate with the mileage. Yeah, it's a very rare survivor, is that? So that's sold for £8,100 with the premium, which I think it's achieved quite a good price. I think it's a realistic price. Let's see what the advert says. Registered August 1990, 34,400 miles, believed to be genuine. Service record to 94. Then there's a gap. Known to have been in storage for several years. Originality extends to dealer plates and tax disc holder for a dealer in Norwich, so just up the road. Interesting car. Right, let's move on, have a look at something else. 1995 Aston Martin DB7. £8,856, including the premium. That's incredible value for money. I mean, what can you get for that sort of money? What value? That's amazing. Let's have a look and see a bit more about this. So it's a 95 Aston Martin DB7. So of course this one's the more desirable one, I would say, because it's got the 3.2 litre supercharged engine. And to me, they're more desirable than the V12s because they were built in more limited numbers. I don't remember the exact numbers built offhand, but they were well under 2,000. I think you're talking maybe about 1,500 or something like that. But they were under 2,000. So they were certainly the rarest variant of them all. I do like the DB7s. I've always liked them. I've always liked the styling. I think they were styled by Ian Callum, and they were built at a new factory at Bloxham, I think, in Oxfordshire. It was where they built it was the TWR factory where they built the XJ220s, Tom Walkinshaw Racing. And there's a lot of snobbery amongst certain groups of people that they didn't like to accept it as being a proper Aston Martin because it was built out of steel and not aluminium. It wasn't built at Newport Pagnell. And so they don't regard it as being a proper Aston Martin because it shares its underpinnings with the XGS. Well, what a load of rubbish. It's just pure snobbery. Of course it's an Aston Martin and there's no doubt about it. And that's all there is to be said about it. It's just ridiculous when people start talking rubbish like that. And if you've got the beauty about this as well, sharing the underpinnings of the XGS, is that if you've got a good mechanic who's not frightened of touching cars like this, there's no reason why they can't do things like the brakes and do it a little bit cheaper. Instead of buying Aston Martin parts, they can buy Jaguar parts, which still aren't cheap. And they can interchangeable parts as far as I know. So there's ways around certain jobs. Now, let's have a look at the pictures. I don't know whether that's Chiltern Green. It could be Chiltern Green, which was a popular colour. Obviously, this yellow bit on the nose is somebody's added that. And one thing you have to look out for when buying one of these is floor pans. You need to check the floor pans on these because the early cars, I don't think they were very well rust-proofed and they rusted out quite badly. So you have to look for that. And I think the nose cone, the composite material could be a little bit problematic. So you need to make sure that they're fitting properly and there aren't any issues with them. I remember when they brought them out in 93, 94, and I remember them being at the motor show, and I picked up one of the car magazine. It might have been Autocar or Car or something like that. But of course, it was one of the main features, and it was finished, I think, in Cheviot red or something like that, a nice wine red metallic, and it looked beautiful. Now, these wheels, I like these turbine wheels. They were the most popular ones on this particular car. But Matthewson's have one that's coming up for sale in their November auction, and I think it's got 162,000 miles on the clock. So it's quite high on the mileage. But when you read through the description, I think it's been probably well looked after and maintained very well. And it sounds nice when they do the startup. But even that, the estimate on that isn't a great deal of money. Whatever you think, it's still remarkable value for money. I mean, I was thinking about buying one of these about 6 years ago. Only I was looking at getting one of the Volante versions because when I sat in the fixed head, I felt a little bit more cramped. And I thought the Volante just gave me that little bit extra headroom. But I'm pleased I didn't because I would have lost a heck of a lot of money. Because at that point they were going up in value and they were getting in to be big money. And now they've dropped back so much. They are such value for money. So if there's ever been a good time to buy something like a DB7, or any nice car really, now's the time to do it because they're just bargain basement prices. Wheeler Dealers had one, and I think they had some Speedwell wheels on it. I wasn't keen on them. They were supposed to be fancier wheels and more desirable. I didn't like them personally. And I think the one at Matthewson's got a different set of wheels on it as well. And I'm not keen on them. I much prefer these turbine wheels. And I've even seen somebody with an XGS who had them on. And they looked quite big on the car itself. Such a beautiful design, in my opinion. It looks in fairly decent condition. I mean, heck, for £8,800, you can't expect perfection, but it looks pretty good. Let's have a bit more look at the interior. Nice interiors on them. 95,000 miles. That's not too bad actually for 95,000. Should be plenty of life in that. Nice seats. Doesn't look too bad at all. I think somebody's got themselves a real bargain here. Let's go and have a look at the write-up, see what it tells us. MOT through to September 2025, so that's good. So you've got a good year's MOT on it, which is good. Gas suspension, uprated front springs, and a stainless steel exhaust plus improved brakes. Well, the stainless steel exhaust will cost big money. I mean, to get an exhaust for something like this, they're usually not cheap. So that's good value anyway to start with. That's a good start. Running well, no mechanical or electrical issues. Huge history file. OBD2 diagnostics manual, that's good to have. Many invoices and a workshop manual and a CD-ROM. Very good. And a spare key to boot. Well, I think that is an exceptional buy. I think that's very good value for money. The only thing I would do with that, me personally, I would have that front nose cone painted. But it's personal choice at the end of the day. Right, let's see what else there was. Little BMW Z3, £1,360. That's incredible value for money as well. It's a lot of car for the money. A bit of cheap open-top motoring. Yeah, we know winter's coming on, but that doesn't stop you having a bit of fun and enjoying it next year. Mini Mayfair at the moment. .325 Touring. Now that's they're very popular. The 325. Now I think that BMW and Mercedes in the late 80s, early 90s, they both hit a bit of a sweet spot in the designing elements. And I always liked this particular design, and they've become very popular. And that looks quite cheap for 4,428. And I mean, the Touring, they were still quite rare, I would have said, back when they were new. Sunbeam Alpines, always like Sunbeam Alpines. And I think it's one of those cars that's overlooked by a lot of people. And I don't think they ever really achieved the true accolades that they really deserved. I think they're a pleasing design. Obviously, this will be the Series 5 with it being a 67. So it's obviously towards the end of the production. And it had the smaller fins. I think when they came out in 59, I think it was, they had the bigger fins. It'll have a 1725cc engine. And let's have a quick glance at it. £7,688. That's quite good. It's not expensive, but I think it's not bad for one, actually. They've never really achieved massive amounts of money, which is a shame because they're a lovely car. So I suppose it's to the benefit if you like them, isn't it? But I really do like the design. I like the white wheels on it. Then the colour suits it well. I like the little blue spot lamps. Nice. The period door mirrors there. So yeah, it'll be a 1725cc engine. Of course, they had the Sunbeam Tiger, which was the same car, albeit all upgraded because it had the 4.3 litre and a 4.7 litre V8 engine in them. And the majority of them went to America, a big market for them in America. But obviously, we did have some in this country, which are quite rare. Nice seats. And then you got like the wood dashboard in it, I think it was wood. It wasn't just a metallized wood effect. Nice interior. I like the style of the seats. Holby engine. Quick glance at the description. So the rocket cover has a Holby branding, although it isn't known if the engine's been upgraded. Yeah. Nissan Primera. Now, I think, as far as I'm aware, I think this car is a car which is fairly local to me. And I think he's been to a few shows. I've never actually seen the car in the flesh, but I think I've seen it on YouTube a couple of times. And I think it's been to the Festival of the Unexceptional, and I think it was shown there. And it always came across as being a lovely looking car. Let's have a look at the car itself. There can't be many of them left, can there? A Nissan Primera 91 Nissan Primera GSI 2-litre automatic. It's a bonny looking thing, isn't it? Nice red. Yeah, they I think they are from the Festival of the Unexceptional. I think that's what that's all about. But when was the last time you saw one? I can't remember. Quite a pleasing car, isn't it? Quite a pleasing one to look at. They replaced the Bluebird, I think, didn't they? And they were built obviously at Sunderland, like the Bluebird was built at Sunderland. Again, when did you last see a ZX Turbo Bluebird? For cars that were built in such numbers, there's not many left. But it's a lovely looking thing. $44,000 miles, that's absolutely nothing. And to a 2-litre, you've got Japanese reliability as well. That's nothing. I think somebody's got themselves a real bargain there. I mean, what are you going to buy to replace something in the same sort of condition for that sort of money? You wouldn't get something that was very modern that was probably as good. So I think somebody's got themselves a real rarity, and I think they've got themselves a very nice car indeed. Sunburst red. Reckons there's only 2-litre GS examples left on the road. Yeah, replacement for the Bluebird. Central lock-in, manual factory sunroof, electric windows all round, yeah. So it was well equipped for its time. Yeah, I think that car is a bargain for somebody. So it's featured on Furious Driving, Lloyd Vehicle Consulting, and JJ on Cars on YouTube. Yeah, and it took a trophy at the Festival of the Unexceptional. 2001 Ford Mondeo ST200. So that still remains available. That's not sold. But it's unusual to see them in a colour other than that bright blue metallic. So to see one in white, it's quite a rare sight. I wonder what that shows about it. Let's have a look. Looks quite smart, doesn't it? So it's on a 51 plate. So that's quite late for one, I think. Of course, the successor was the ST220 with its 3-litre V6. Shares, I understand, a lot with the X-Type. But I do like the ST220s. Got to be a future classic. This looks quite smart, doesn't it? And I think it looks quite nice, actually, in the white. Oh, nice seats. And I just glanced at the mileage there, 147,000 miles. Those seats look pretty good considering that they've done 147,000 miles. And black seats, I think, are very unforgiving. And quite often, I don't think they work well in a lot of cars because They can soon look shabby, and when they get creased and cracked and a bit of discoloration, they can soon look very shabby. But they've stood up well to the test of time, I think, and look nice. They'll be, yeah, the Recaro seats. You can just see the Recaro badge embossed in them. 147,000 miles. Yeah. It's quite a smart looking thing, isn't it? One thing about the Sierras, you get a good boot on them. And I like a good big boot. So it's the 2.5 engine, as you saw. See what it says. Rare weight, yeah. Ex-police car. Believed to be just one of 5 left. Fitted with a calibrated RS dials. Owned it for 18 months. Thousands spent on the bodywork it shows, including inner and outer sills replaced and repainted in 2021. Refurbished alloys and new weather strips. And a new engine fitted around 80,000 miles. Oh, well, that's a good help, isn't it? Police records from 2001 to 2009, and then MOTs since. Yeah, that was interesting to see. Austin, Devon. Yeah, they were called the counties cars, weren't they? There was the Devon, the Dorset, the Hampshire, the Hereford, the Somerset, and of course you used to get the little metal pedal cars, didn't you, the A40s? Right, I'm going to leave it at that for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments which ones of those would you have been interested in. I'm just curious. I was just going to pick out 1 or 2, but I couldn't help myself. There were a few more that I've still put to one side. So I'm going to continue that in another part, which I'll maybe release tomorrow. So until next time, thanks for watching and take care.